Hi everyone, this is Ferociousllama. Welcome to Magic Gathering Strat. Today we're playing some Vintage. We're playing Stacks, or you could also call it MUD, which is the more common, more current name, I guess. The name Stacks actually came from the original deck list, which included Smokestack, which it no longer includes. I'm just going to go over the deck list real fast. It's got Black Lotus. Everybody knows what that does. Mana Crypt, which 0 mana adds 2 mana to our mana pool, and at the beginning of my upkeep I flip a coin. If I lose, it deals 3 damage to me. Yeah, that can be a hefty price, but with 2 mana for free, it's a pretty sweet deal. All the moxes, 5 moxes: Emerald, Jet, Pearl, Ruby, and Sapphire. We run 4 Chalice of the Voids. I've played games before where I go Chalice for 0, Chalice for 1, and the opponent scoops turn 1. They don't even get a turn. So Chalice is very powerful. We got 4 Ancient Tombs. They tap for 2 mana and deal 2 damage to me. Great card, super fast mana accelerant. 2 Cavernous Souls for our creatures, which I'll get to in a minute. 2 Mishra's Factories, because sometimes we don't have any creatures and we need something to block with or something. And they add colorless mana, which is always great, which is really all we need for this deck. 4 Mishra's Workshops, which is really what makes the deck possible in Vintage. It's basically a reusable colorless Black Lotus for artifact spells. So tap it for 3 colorless mana for artifacts only. Super sweet, not restricted in Vintage. Amazing, amazing card. Strip Mine, because we can run one and it adds a colorless mana. Which it's here for a reason, and I'll get to that in a minute. Tolarian Academy, totally broken. I've tapped it for 5 mana on turn 1, which is pretty sick. Adds blue mana, 1 for each artifact I control. Restricted in Vintage, so we only run 1. 4 Wastelands. Wastelands tap to sacrifice a non-basic land, like a Strip Mine, but only for non-basic lands. Really good card. Actually, oddly enough, the second most expensive card in the whole deck behind Black Lotus. More expensive than the Moxes even, which is ridiculous if you ask me, but Vintage Masters really made a lot of the big money cards like the Lotus, like the Power 9 and Mana Crypt, things like that, accessible. So 1 Mana Vault. It's 1 mana, doesn't untap during my upkeep. I can tap it and add 3 mana to my mana pool, or pay 4 to untap it during my upkeep. Or if I don't untap it, it does 1 damage to me at the beginning of my draw step. Soul Ring, tap for 2 mana, 1 mana. Accelerates me for 1 on turn 1, which is sweet. Thorn of Amethyst. In Vintage, there's not a lot of creatures. Most of the spells, like especially like Storm, and almost every deck runs a lot of really low cost 1 mana, like blue instants or sorceries. A lot of times they draw them cards, manipulate their deck, things like that. And this really screws with them. It's pretty sweet. It's almost as good as the next card, Sphere of Resistance, unless they're playing creatures. But if they're playing a creature, it's probably not that big of a deal, because it's probably coming early, and the game hopefully doesn't last long enough so they can get something nasty out. Sphere of Resistance makes everything cost 1 more mana, and yes, it does make my stuff cost 1 more mana, but I have really broken stuff like Mishra's Workshop and the Power 9 cards. Next is Phyrexian Revoker. He's like a Pithing Needle on legs. 2/1 for 2 mana, and basically does what Pithing Needle does. Unfortunately, I can't name a land card, so I can't name like Library of Alexandria, or Cephalid Coliseum, or Wasteland, or anything like that with Phyrexian Revoker. That's okay, because we have Crucible of Worlds. Crucible of Worlds is awesome because if they kill my Mishra's Workshops, I can get them back, which is sweet. Or I can get my Wastelands back, which is the most common thing. And sometimes I get really lucky and I draw a Strip Mine along with a Crucible, and the opponent loses 1 land every single turn, and they end up losing because I have Thorn of Amethyst, Sphere of Resistances, and they can't win. Tangle Wires. Tangle Wire is an old artifact with fading. Basically, tap a permanent for every fade counter on it. The opponent starts off by tapping 4, then during my upkeep I remove a counter, then tap 3, and then they tap 3, and so on and so forth till there's none left to tap. And then when there's none left, or it's not effective anymore, I go with a Kadutha Forward Master, which I'll get to in a sec. Trinisphere is restricted in Vintage. I've never lost a game when I play Trinisphere on turn 1. So super good. Destroys vintage decks. I didn't realize why it was restricted until I played it, and I realized, oh, it's totally amazing. Lodestone Golem. I didn't really see the power of it when I saw it was first printed, only because I didn't think of it in a context of vintage. But non-artifact spells cost 1 more to cast. That means all the instants and sorceries. Storm decks basically are turned off. Really messes with decks with a lot of blue counter spells. Blue decks with counter spells, rather. And it's a hefty 5/3 for 4 mana, which is pretty good, if you ask me. Yeah, it does die to Lightning Bolt, but that Lightning Bolt costs 2 mana with only him in play. And hopefully we'll have a Thorn of Amethyst or a Spear of Resistance. So it's going to cost 3 mana to Lightning Bolt this guy. Which, well, you got to do what you got to do. But I'm okay with that trade-off. Kadotha Forge Master, he's a hefty 3/5 mana. And I can tap him, sacrifice 3 artifacts, search my library for an artifact and put it into the battlefield. Sometimes it's a Crucible, sometimes it's a Wormcoil Engine low on life. If they have a lot of 0, elves or something, they have, I got Steel Hellkite, kill all their stuff. Also, we got Karn Silver Golem. Karn will let me... he's like a... I don't know if anybody remembers the card Gorilla Shaman. I always called him the Mox Monkey. He was a 1/1 for 1 red mana and pay 1 and XX, so double X, to destroy an artifact with cast cost X. Well, it's really good on artifacts that cost 0. So, Karn's not quite that good as far as killing artifacts, but he's much better in the fact that he's a 4/4. But when he becomes blocked, he gets -4/+4 and becomes a 0/8, which, that's okay too. And we have a Staff of Nin as the last card. That's another card we can get. It provides me some card advantage, lets me draw a card at the beginning of my upkeep, and I can tap it and deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Works really good against decks that get out like a Goblin Welder or something like that. So, that's the main deck. And then our sideboard is 4 Grafdigger's Cages to stop Dredge, because Dredge sucks. It doesn't suck. It's an excellent deck. It's very powerful, and it's really hard to stop. So Grafdigger's Cage, 4 of them, no less. Phyrexian Revokers, sometimes they have a lot of Jaces or Aether Vials, or I don't see Aether Vial a lot in Vintage, but it stops Jace, it stops a lot of stuff. 2 more Crucible of Worlds, because some decks are really mana intensive, and we can get a Crucible out sooner and start wastelanding all their stuff. Witchbane Orbs, it's basically the MUD version of Leyline of Sanctity. Gives us hexproof, and it works great against Oath of Druids and Hurkyl's Recall, because they can't Hurkyl's Recall us, because they can't target us, and they can't Oath us, because they have to choose target opponent who controls more creatures than them. And it works good against Burn. Duplicate, Show and Tell, has big giant creatures. They go Emrakul, we go Duplicate. Next turn attack for 15. We don't get the Annihilator trigger, but hey, they just gave us a 15/15 artifact creature. There's 4 of them. So, that's the deck. Let's play. Right, we're in the tournament practice room with our Vintage MUD deck. And we have Epsilon Minus, who has joined our game. We won the die roll, and we will play first. I'm going to go ahead and move the chat box off to the side, and I'm going to go say hi and good luck. And we're going to go ahead and play first, because this is Vintage and you lose if you don't play first a lot of the time. So okay, so we have 3 lands: an Ancient Tomb, a Cavern of Souls, a Wasteland, a Sphere of Resistance, Chalice of the Void, Staff of Nim, and Kadotha Forge Master. Well, we've only got 4 mana, so we can't play any of our big spells, but I think we'd slow them down enough with Sphere of Resistance and Chalice of the Void. So we're going to keep this. And our opponent's mulliganed to 6, and they kept on 6. So, our turn 1, we don't draw. But, we're going to play a Chalice of the Void for 0. To keep them from playing any Moxes or fast mana. Then we're going to play Ancient Tomb. Tap it, take our 2 damage, and play a Sphere of Resistance. And he's going to counter it with Force of Will, pitching a Mystical Tutor. And that's okay. It's a good use of a Force of Will, I guess. But you can't play any Moxes or anything like that, so that's a good thing. plays a Plains. I have a feeling he might be playing Death and Taxes or White Weenie if you're from a older... Well, he's not because he has Force of Will. So he's playing some kind of blue-white control deck. And, okay. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to drop our Mishra's Workshop. And we'll go bam, Black Lotus for artifacts. And then we'll take our 2 damage. And we'll throw out our Kadutha Forge Master. And it resolves. And it might get Path to Exiled or Swords to Plowshares, which it does. So we gain 3 life, so we're back at 19. And that's okay, because we have a Staff of Nin that we're going to play next turn. And it doesn't look like he's got any more mana. So, I think what we're going to do, it seems like what he did was he kept a hand with some artifact mana, and he can't play it, which is sweet for us. So we're going to play Cavern of Souls, and we are going to name Golem, because that's what Karn is. Golem. And then, I think for right now, we're just going to play our Staff and Nin. Oops, we can't tap that for color. So we're going to go colorless and play Staff and Nin. And it resolves. Our opponent has no blue mana and already pitched 1 Force of Will, so they may not have another, which is good. I would think they'd counter that, because that's a free card every turn and 1 damage, which isn't that huge of a deal, but it kills all of his pesky creatures. So we're going to go Staff him for 1. And then we'll draw our card during our upkeep. A Sphere of Resistance. We drew a Mishra's Factory, so let's play a Wasteland. And he has no non-basic lands, but that's okay. So now we're gonna add a white mana for our Karn. 3 more, and then we're gonna take the 2 damage here because we want to leave our Wasteland up. And we're gonna play Karn. Oh my gosh, it didn't use the white mana, but it's okay. He didn't counter it anyway. So that was my fault. I should have specified what mana to use, so I'm probably going to path it. Or swords, rather. I play a lot of Modern, you can tell. So, okay, well this is... He's got a lot of answers, but 1 Plains, so it's alright. We're good with that. And we forgot to ping him at the end of the turn, but whatever, it happens. So this turn we drew a Mishra's Workshop and a Lodestone Golem, which is awesome. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to play a Mishra's Factory, and then we're going to play a Lodestone Golem, this time using the white mana, so it's uncounterable. And then we'll tap our Ancient Tomb for 2 damage and play a Sphere of Resistance. And our opponent says good game and concedes. That's how MUD works, guys. It locks our opponent out. They couldn't play 0 mana artifacts. We were drawing an extra card every turn, and they were going to be able to not cast anything until they drew another land. So I think, well, we don't know what he's playing exactly. So we're not really going to sideboard, because I don't know. I have no clue what we should sideboard against. A Force of Will, pitching a Mystical Tutor, and 2 Swords to Plowshares. But he's going to play first, and all likelihood he's going to drop a whole bunch of artifacts. So, okay, this hand, well, we have a Chalice, but we're not on the play. We're on the draw. And we have 2 lands, so what can we do? We can go turn 1 Mishra Factory, turn 2 Chalice, or I'm sorry, turn 1 Mishra Factory and Chalice, turn 2 Mishra Factory and Sphere of Resistance. Not my idea of a good play, in Vintage at least. That's how you, sometimes we're dead by turn 2. So we're going to throw this back. Now this hand is significantly better, because we've drawn 2 Mishra's Workshops, a Mox Emerald, a Chalice, a Kadutha Forge Master, and a Lodestone Golem, which is just bonkers. So we're going to keep this. I don't know how bonkers this is for Vintage, but I'm sure you can imagine any other format. This is like auto win, obviously. But in this format, you know, our stuff could get countered. We don't know what's going to happen. So, okay. So I think what we'll do here is we'll play our Mox Emerald, and then we'll play our Mishra's Workshop, and we're going to tap it for 3, but we're only going to use 2 of those to do Chalice for 1. And let's see if he counters it. It doesn't counter it, and that's okay. That's okay for us. I don't know if it's good for us yet. We'll find out soon. But depending on what he does with his fetch land, we might drop our wasteland next turn and kill whatever he gets. Well, we played a tropical island, okay. And he has a tundra, which is the dual land we least want to see. Okay, Sully Pride Mage. Yeah, that's kind of a problem. Okay, I think what we're going to do now is we're going to drop our Mishra's Factory, because he's got kind of a lot of mana. Oh, that was dumb. Our Chalice countered our Soul Ring. Not so clever. Oh, that's bad. I shouldn't do that kind of stuff on video. So let's see. I'd rather him kill our Forge Master, and our Forge Master can always block his Quasali Pride Mage if we need him to. So can always block his Quasali Pride Mage, but he's not gonna attack into it. He's gonna kill it at the end of his turn, or at the end of, well, maybe he's not gonna kill it at the end of our turn. I wonder what he's up to. He sure has a lot of mana this game. Makes me uncomfortable. But I don't know. I guess playing that Soul Reeve didn't really make a difference, because it's not like we could have played our Lodestone Golem. So the Soul Ring in our hand, Soul Ring not in our hand, not a big deal. Okay, so he goes Quasali Pride Mage on our Chalice of the Void for 1. So, well, Chalice for 1's good. That's what we've learned today. Okay, he's going to Nature Exclaim our guy. It's okay. He's down to 3 cards in hand. Okay, another Kadotha Forge Master. So let's go Wasteland, and we will kill his Tundra. And he does not tap it for mana. So, we're going to throw out another Forge Master. And we have 1 extra mana. We'll let that go. See, not every game in Legacy ends on the first turn or second turn or anything, because this is turn 4, and you know, I've seen modern games last less than this. So let's see what's happening. Okay, Brainstorms. That's allowed. Not like we have any counter spells. In fact, this deck has no instance of sorceries. Every card's a permanent, which I think is kind of cool. Especially in a format like Vintage, where you know it's defined by cards like Brainstorm and Mana Drain and Force of Will. Okay, Noble Hierarch. It seems like this is some kind of ported over. A Stoneforge Mystic, and he's gonna get a Batter Skull probably. So let's have a look see. And you got a Batter Skull, which is okay. Alright, Wormcoil Engine. Sweet. Wormcoil Engine is good. I like Wormcoil Engine. But right now, I think we're just going to play our Lodestone Golem. See if he counters it. Nope, doesn't counter it. He must be out of counter spells. He, in fact, I think he even F6'd. So, we're not going to attack because we may want to use our Forge Master to get some cool stuff. So our opponent taps 5 mana for what? A Green Sun Zenith for 3. This could be bad. For a Trigon Predator. Okay. Whenever he deals damage to us, he gets to naturalize something. Which, okay. That's alright. We can cope with that. Let's see. And we draw another Lodestone Golem. So I think what we're going to do, let's go ahead and attack with our Lodestone Golem. And he takes our 5. And now we're going to play another Lodestone Golem, which resolves as well. So he's going to hit us with that Trigon Predator and kill something, but I think we're going to Caduth a Forge Master whatever he hits. Let's see. Okay, ability on the stack. Well, targeting. And of course he targets our Forge Master. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to use it. Sacrifice a Lodestone Golem and a Mox Emerald. Okay, yeah, you can do that. Sure, Batterskull. I don't know why you did that in response, because all that really does is give us more information, which is good. We like more information. So we're going to get a Steel Hellkite. And we're going to kill stuff for 3. So we can't kill more of our artifacts. He's got a Path to Exile. Or a Sword. Swords to Plowshares. Okay, sure. Yep, sometimes we just can't do anything, you know? I mean, it happens. Alright, we got a Strip Mine. So, let's throw out our Wormcoil Engine. And we're not going to attack into his Batterskull token, because that's not so smart. And this is just how it goes sometimes in Vintage. I mean, not a lot we can do. Weren't really prepared for that. Sure, yeah, hit me for 3. I don't care. I don't care about the 3. I care about him killing our stuff. Him killing our stuff is bad. So, yeah, it looks like you got a pretty good control of the game on this one. So, yeah, and he kills our Wormcoil Engine, which is fine. We draw another Mishra's Workshop, which isn't so useful right now. So we're going to play it, and we're going to pass the turn, and we're going to promptly lose, because this game's over already. But I'll play it out, so you guys can see what happens. Yep, kills our Lodestone Golem. And a Sphere of Resistance, which is pretty useless. So, well, to be honest with you guys, I've had enough. We can't win this game. Because he's got a Batterskull that we can't attack through, and he's got a Trigon Predator that's going to kill something of ours every single turn. And sometimes we're going to draw land, which stinks. So, let's see. Let's throw in some duplicants, because that guy is a pain in the rear. Let's see, what are we going to take out for our duplicants? I think we're going to take out our Staff of Nin, because that has proved to be not so good. And our Wormcoil Engine. He does get us a lot of extra. He does get us 2 extra tokens and all that, but I just don't think that's that great. And we're going to lose both Crucibles, just because this doesn't seem to be the kind of matchup where they need a whole ton of mana, because it's some kind of Stoneblade Mystic. I don't know. I don't know what you'd call his deck, but let's see. And we will play first. Alright, this looks pretty good because we have a Mishra's Workshop, 2 Moxes, a Tanglewire, and a Lodestone Golem. And a Cavern of Souls. So we are keeping this for sure. And what we're going to do is we're going to play our Mishra's Workshop. Well, first we're going to play our Moxes. Because if he wants to counter him, go ahead. So, Mishra's Workshop. And then we're going to play our Chalice. Oh, wait, hold on. We don't want to do that. We actually want to do... we want to put our Chalice for 0. So we can't play any Moxes or anything. It's going to really slow our opponent down. Now, I know you guys are saying you're probably yelling at your computer right now to play the Lodestone Golem. We have a Cavern of Souls. We're going to wait till next turn to play the Cavern. See? No artifacts. Good deal. We like good deals. Alright, and he's a golem. So we're going to add a white and 3 colors and play a Lodestone Golem. And next turn we'll drop the Tanglewire, tap all of his lands and whatever else he plays this turn. And then, yay, go S. In fact, I don't think he's going to be able to win because we have double Tanglewire. Okay, let's attack first. Okay, our opponent takes our 5 damage. Let's drop an Ancient Tomb and go Tanglewire. And if he counters it, that's okay. Nature's Claims our Golem. Okay. It doesn't matter because he's not going to be able to play anything. Yeah, we don't have any creatures, but hey, he's locked down way worse than we are right now. Okay, so he's got a land. And a Mystic Remora. What does this do? Whenever we cast a non-creature spell, they may draw a card unless the player pays 4. Okay. Sure. Pretty good. Clever. Okay, now, it's during our upkeep. So what we want to do is we want to put the tap stuff trigger on the stack first. So it's on the bottom, and then the fading on top. So we remove a counter, then tap our stuff. And so we're going to tap our Tanglewire, because that doesn't do anything. Chalice, because that doesn't do anything. And a Mox, because everything else does something awesome. So we'll tap those. Draw a card. And let's see. Let's go ahead and play a Phyrexian Revoker. And we're going to name Batters. We're going to name, let's see. What do we name Stoneforge Mystic? Stoneforge Mystic. So he can't violin his, well, I call it violin. He can't put his stuff into play. And we could have paid the 4 if we needed to, but we did not need to. So, okay, so he's going to tap all of his mana. Maybe he's got some instants and sorceries or something. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so he doesn't do anything with that mana. And we're going to do the same thing this time. And this time we're going to tap our Tangle Wire and our Chalice. Okay, we drew a Mox Pearl, which is okay. And we're going to pay our 4. I didn't think of that, which was not my brightest hour just now. So, sorry guys. And it gets countered anyway. Oh god, that was bad. Yeah, misplays Vintage. That's how it goes. Okay. And we're going to pass the turn back because that was bad, 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 I know. Believe me, I know that was bad. So, it looks like our opponent does not have a land, so we pass the turn back. We're going to do the same old, same old. Tap the Tangle Wire. And then, okay, we drew a Wasteland, which is good. So let's go ahead and waste his Tundra, because we'll keep him off white mana. And I feel that that's more dangerous than the other the Tropical Island. Alright, now we're going to play our second Tangle Wire. We're going to pay his 4. Oh god, that was terrible before. I'm really sorry about that, guys. So we're going to pay the 4 so he doesn't draw the card, because drawing cards is good in Vintage. So he can't even pay the cumulative upkeep on his Mystic Remora anymore. So he's all tapped out. Sweet. Okay, so we want tap trigger, the tap our stuff trigger, and the 2 fading triggers. And so we have to tap. We just have 3, which does not hurt us at all. Okay, another Mishra's Workshop. We don't really need that right now. What we need is some stuff. And let's play our Mishra's Workshop. Pass the turn. Okay, so he's going to Nature's Claim our Phyrexian Revoker, which is okay. God, I made some bad plays this match. I'm really sorry, guys. Like, that's bad. I had, like, stuff countered by my own Chalice, and oh, God, I did terrible. And, like, just now, I should have tapped my first Tangle Wire before I removed the last before it died from, you know, lack of fade counters, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Okay, so we drew an Ancient Tomb. We'll play it and pass the turn. So our opponent's getting out of lockdown now. Especially if they have a land, then things are going to be going pretty good for them. Which they don't, which is very good for us. And he has to discard even. And he discards a True Name Nemesis, which truly would be quite a nemesis. And we'll tap our Tangle Wire, because it doesn't do anything. Okay. Drew a duplicate. Huh. I think we're just going to hold on to this, because he might play a creature here. So, yeah, this is kind of how Vintage goes sometimes. You know, we had our opponent totally locked down. Unfortunately, we drew 2 creatures. This is the 3rd creature we've drawn this game, which is pretty weak. And there's a whole bunch in the deck. We didn't draw any any man lands, nothing. So, makes me a little bit sad. Okay, discarded a Trigon Predator. Sweet. Oh, I hate those Trigon Predators. It means he's probably got another one in his hand, so that's not terribly good. But we drew Wasteland, which is always good to waste a tropical island. And we'll go ahead and pass the turn back. Because now he's got 1 land. Even if he draws another one, he's probably not a whole lot's going to happen on this turn, because he has no Moxes or anything. And he passed the turn right back. Sorry this isn't as exciting as some games, guys. But this is how Vintage goes sometimes. I mean, there's not a whole bunch we can do. Okay, we drew another land. I upped the land count to, I think, 18 lands now. And I am paying for that now. And our duplicate's a shapeshifter. So, that's kind of a... Too bad he's not a golem. So he couldn't be countered. So, okay. Discards a Black Lotus because it would just get countered. Okay, we drew another Wasteland, so I think we're gonna hold it, because when he gets another land, he's probably gonna search a dual land up, because he'll want a dual land, because he probably needs the mana. And bam. Sure. Sylvan Library. He gets to draw 2 extra cards and can keep them or pay 4 life per card to keep them or put them back. Okay, so we're gonna go Wasteland, killing Tropical Island, and then we're gonna play a Sphere of Resistance. And you know what? I think it might be a good idea to finally play our duplicate. Because he can't counter it right now. Oh, we're in combat. Never mind. Let's get out of combat. And what am I doing wrong here? Oh, Sphere of Resistance. Duh. It's a lot harder than it seems, guys, to record and talk and play Magic at the same time. So, no, we're not going to use the ability because there's no ability, nothing to use. So, he's only got 1 mana, can't play anything right now. So, if he draws a 2nd mana, but he's drawing 2 extra cards a turn, which, hey, let's hope he keeps them both and dies. But I don't think he can, because he has to actually pay life. Yeah, you can pay life. So he can keep 1 and be down at 3. But hey, no land in those cards, which is awesome. Okay. Thorn of Amethyst, that's good. We're going to attack for 2. And we'll play our Thorn and pass the turn back. So any non-creature spell is going to cost a minimum of 2 mana, and that's even for, and zero casting cost stuff gets countered. So the lowest spell he could play is 3 mana. He's only got 1, so he's not doing anything this turn. And hopefully, okay, our opponent scoops. He's had enough. So maybe we should have played the duplicate sooner, but I don't know. That's the thing in Vintage is I was really worried about that Trigon Predator because he just wrecked us last game. So anyway, that is the first match of Vintage with the Vintage MUD deck. So thanks for watching Magic Gathering Strat. I am Ferociousllama. If you like this video, go ahead and comment. Leave a comment, like the video. Let me know what you think. If you want to see me play any other decks or formats, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching.